That's
No.
not on my watch.
Yeah, 7 on my watch. And it's a good evening.
Okay, you ready to go? Okay, 7 o'clock, I'll call this common council meeting for the month of February to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The deputy clerk call roll, please.
Brown? Here. Evans?
Here.
Udi? Here. Grattan?
Here.
Morose? Here. Schuster?
First item of business is approval of the minutes, or approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to that effect?
Second.
Motion by Brown, second by Morose. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approve minutes of previous meetings.
So moved.
Motion by Grattan. Second by Evans. Any further discussion, questions, or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approve minutes of intervening meetings. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion by Morose.
Second.
Second by Foodie. Any further questions or comments on those? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, we have public appearances. Is there anybody wishing to speak as far as joining us as the public? Let the record show there are none. Communications? I have none. Clerk's office have any? Okay. Approved payments of bills. Checks $1,881,897.14. No vouchers. Electronic transfers of $615,766.86. Is there a motion to approve the payment of bills?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Brown, second by Morose. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Brown? Aye. Morose? Aye. Evans?
Aye.
Udi? Aye. Grattan?
Aye.
Payment of bills have been approved. Next, we have oath of office for Ed Weiss for Fire Chief. As most of the council is aware, Kurt Nimman, who elected to step down after a year of his term, elected to move on to retirement, but he's still staying with our department as a captain. So Edward, he's been with our department how many years, Ed?
15?
Yeah.
15.
15 years. He's come up through the ranks. He's been lieutenant. Last year he was elected captain. Took a big leap forward and elected to fill the shoes that Kurt is leaving. So at this time, Edward, would you step forward? Raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Evan White,
Having been appointed as fire chief of the Juneau Fire Department in the city of Juneau, Dodge County,
I've been appointed as fire chief in
the
City
city,
of Juneau, in Dodge County,
Wisconsin,
Wisconsin.
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
Swear to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
adhere to the firefighter code of ethics,
adhere to the firefighters' code of ethics,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the said office to the best of my ability.
favor discharge the ability.
Duties of the said office to the best of my abilities. So help me God.
So help me God.
This time, I'd like to congratulate you, Ed.
I'm going to put a little more pomp and circumstance in. I know we didn't do this
This is,
16 years ago, but
This is something that I think we followed suit from the police department.
yeah.
When an officer comes into duty, his significant other, Val, is pinning him for,
Put my badge on.
it was this, or take her out to dinner for Valentine's. I don't know how many of the council members are aware. This is a very serious appointment. I mean, everything that Ed does in the line of duty reflects upon the city and can come back here. So if you have a wrongful death in the line of duty there and something that goes not quite the way it should have been out on the fire scene, there's going to be a lot of paperwork for him, a lot of paperwork for me. So I'd like to give Kurt an opportunity to say his goodbyes, or at least,
I just want to thank everybody for the support they've given me. This isn't all the council members, for all the years, but right from the mayor right on through to City Hall and the clerks. We've all worked together as best we can, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. It was just time in my life to move on. I retired from my regular job, so I figured I'd follow suit here, and yeah. So 16 years as chief, and I'm on my 40th year as a volunteer in Juneau.
Wow,
Thank you.
that's impressive.
So,
Thank you.
we did rewrite some of our bylaws and SOPs. Ed's always been a big part of that. He's always had a real interest in Mavis, and
Yeah.
working with Kurt hand in hand as far as what goes on our Mavis cards, which are the cards that Dodge County has, to know us what equipment to call in from what community when we do have an incident. Ed's been very helpful on all of that. He's done a lot of work on rewriting the bylaws. We now have term limits on in our department there,
Officers.
for our officers. I was lucky enough to serve 25 years as assistant chief. Out of my 45 years, Kurt gave me my pin here at the last annual meeting in January. And it's just hard to promote the younger people today to get involved with their department. We've got some people that are on there as long as Ed has, but they have no interest in being officers. They're good firemen, but they have no interest in being firemen. And trying to get them to take on the extra classes like Ed did. He's certified firefighter 2, plus took a lot of other courses as far as that he's been involved with RIT, that's Robert Invention and what have you, with the other departments that train for that. And he's got the skills to make a good chief. So I wish him only the best.
Juneau was very instrumental in getting Mavis up and running in the county, and I actually stayed on as division chief or division president. So I'm going to stay on as the Mavis coordinator for the county. So I'll be working on that for the next couple of years for sure.
Kurt and I always had the standing joke that this job's not bad if it wasn't for the people.
That's right. It's a lot of fun. So no, it has been. It's been very good.
So we wish you the best, Ed.
Okay, thank you.
Give you another round. Oh, then as far as mayor, I had what would you say? The disappointing task of doing a visitation for Robert Rist. He was a husband-wife crossing guard duo that we had down in the corner of our town outside the school for 12 and 11 years. I think his wife was on a year longer than what Robert was. Robert succumbed to an illness, and his funeral was last Saturday. So I did attend a visitation and did present them with a plaque. I did not Mary hers, but this is what was given to them in regards there. It says, City of Juneau, Wisconsin, established 1845, in sincere appreciation for your dedicated service to the City of Juneau as crossing guard. This one's Mary Rist from 2009 to 2022. Robert went from 2010 to 2021. And Dave, if you'd like to say something about how dedicated these people were?
No, I mean, both Mary and Bob were certainly dedicated, and they loved the kids, and whenever they talked about doing the job, they always said they're there for the kids, and took it very seriously because they were concerned about the safety of the kids. And as you know now, we don't have crossing guards to fill their spots. We have one spot that has nobody, and another spot that's filled with our fill-in people. So losing those two was a real staple to their jobs there, and like I said, it's hard to find good dedicated people like that. They were there no matter what, and Bob did it as long as he could, and so did Mary, really. So, but they definitely are missed.
Yeah, Bob was good with the kids as far as he'd have a red nose on during Christmas holiday and what have you. So you know, he really just was a good fixture for the city of Juneau down there in that corner. And the corner that he guarded was probably the most dangerous corner that we got in town and what have you. So yeah, I sent our sympathies on behalf of the city of Juneau to Mary, and she was very appreciative of the plaque. I don't know if she knows she's getting one herself, but anyway, I did make it up there and got it set up by where you sign in when you go for the visitation. So the city was represented. So our condolences go out to the Riss family. So that's all I have under my report. Next we got clerk treasurer. Was there any report there?
Nope, we, audit is going full force today and tomorrow, and then elections are Tuesday.
Okay. Next we have written reports. Are there any questions on building permits, police department, Juneau Rescue, Juneau Fire, Juneau EMS? No question? Okay, next we'll move on to commissions, committees and boards. Library board. Okay, you're subbing. You're up.
But I'm just doing it from my chair here.
Okay,
So,
that's fine.
like I said, I can't take the place of Jeanette because she's got her own style. But I will do my best. The library, you know, keeps doing what the library does best. We are expecting the talk, read, play space, which we've talked about before, to be installed the week of March 27th. So that's just like a little play area that we got a grant for, and the recreation department worked with the library and also with, you know, from the others, Scott Carpenter, and they're going to get that installed. And well, we aren't installing it. The grant is paying some contractor to install it, but we hope. Yeah, the week of March 27th, that'll be installed by the library. So when you go by there, you'll see a kids' play area. And it has chimes. So maybe you'll hear some chimes in the neighborhood. Who knows what you might hear from there. And also, today, the Friends of the Public Library hosted a We Love Our Library Patrons and had free hot dogs for a little luncheon. And since I was there, enjoyed a hot dog on the Friends of the Library. So they did a very nice job. They had chips and dessert and beautiful layout of everything. So thanks to the Friends of the Juneau Public Library. The library is looking for a couple of new library pages. So if there's anybody that is interested, they should apply. And last, Jeanette did attend with other Dodge County librarians on Tuesday, February 7th. She went to the state capitol to speak to our representatives on like a library day, and she has a photo of our librarians with our representative, Mark Bourne, and he put on his Facebook page. So she found it very interesting and informative, and I think it's great that our librarians communicate with our representatives so that the libraries can, you know, put the needs that they have, to keep their funding going, and you know, other issues that they have, which, you know, right now they're getting some book challenges, and that's been an issue that they've had to work on together as a library association. So they are talking to our representatives about the issues that are currently confronting not only our library, but library systems around the state. So she enjoyed that time and was glad to represent Juneau. Now that is the library report. If you have any questions, you can throw them at me. I might or might not know the answers.
Please, questions, please.
Yeah, come on, give it a shot.
Thank you, Kate, good report. Moving on, Plan Commission, David.
Plan Commission, we did meet. We discussed adding a line to our ordinances for I-1 to include commercial animal boarding. There was discussion between that or rezoning things to B3, and we decided that we would follow the recommendation of Rob Froh and add a line to commercial animal boarding in I-1 district of our book. And the verbiage is going to be shown to our lawyer to make sure that we have all the words in the right order, that it makes sense. We also discussed possibly approving a second driveway for Robert Durkee at 511 East Oak. He was requesting the extra driveway. His present driveway is off Highland. He wants to access off of East Oak Street. So what was decided is that we would approve his request for a second driveway contingent upon the owner securing a certified survey map to establish the east lot line, and that placement of the driveway would be 3 feet off the lot line as per city ordinance. Also told to him was that the property owner would be assessed for the driveway apron and thicker sidewalks, as East Oak Street construction project didn't include that in its original bid. So the mayor was going to discuss the change with Jason Lau so that MSA was up to date. So this spring when they pour, they know how that's going to be handled. We had some property maintenance issues that were discussed, and that was our meeting. Oh, no. We had discussion about the garbage recycling bins. It appears that there's several residences that don't take their garbage cans back in. Some don't, according to what people have said, some don't ever take them back in. So there will be some discussion on Public Works to try to handle that situation so that people take their trash cans and put them back from the curb. And that was our meeting.
Any questions for David?
Hey, what brought the commercial animal zoning in?
The commercial animal boarding came because the veterinary clinic, when she lost her veterinary clinic, and now they're just boarding animals, it's not fitting with the zoning that was there. And years back, when we, the city, changed some zoning, we changed her from a proper zoning to I-1 without having looked at all the effects that would be done by it. We created a FUPA, so we are fixing that.
This was the easier fix than rather rezoning. You've got a lot of expense. I mean, there's expense adding that one line, but it's a lot less expense to have the public informed on, you know, that you're going to rezone the properties and whatever. And then we don't not only have to rezone the one, we'd have to rezone 3 of them.
All 3 of
Because
them.
the reason the zoning was changed initially was we didn't want a spot zone. We wanted a progressive zoning to go from single family all the way to multi-family into the industrial area and what have you, which we created, but we just didn't know that this would not be included. When she lost her veterinarian and couldn't perform that service anymore, it did not include boarding of dogs, other than boarding them during the day when services were being rendered, or watching an animal overnight occasionally when she was operating as a vet.
So when we created the ordinance in the first place or changed zoning, we weren't seeing or didn't have any visibility in the future?
Nope.
So, okay.
Correct. Also, along with that, I missed that she had to have a kennel license, which she has. And the gals at City Hall gave her a nice, beautiful written up paper that she could hang on the wall. So that everybody can see that she has her kennel license.
Any other questions for Dave?
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else, David?
No.
Finance Committee,
We did not meet.
Personnel Committee, we met.
You bet. We met, first we met jointly with the utility personnel, and then we carried on with the city personnel. It was a long meeting, but very informative. So, on the joint meeting that we had, we first had to take some action on what the days the staff had off on their Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve holidays that falls on a Sunday. So, that was decided, they'd have the Friday and the Monday off. So, we also discussed, I think you're all aware that Ashton, our rec director, is gone and took a different job. And so that's a one-person department. And so I asked if our part-time, there's a part-time help kind of intermittently that has worked in the rec department now a couple different summers and does help out basketball tournaments, etc. If she could work remotely, at least answering the phone, responding to emails. She, is our go-to person as far as, now we have a department without any staff, really. So, I don't know if you remember a number of months ago, we talked about staff working remotely. It wasn't approved, but the way it was left is if there was an extraordinary circumstance that we really needed somebody to work from home, that it could be brought back to the joint personnel. So that's what I did. I brought it back to the joint personnel, and they did approve Laura Zank working remotely with the same hourly wage that she's been getting as a summer part-time help at the rec department. So she is, I know, because we've responded, so she is working and trying to respond to some of the questions that are being posed to the recreation department at this point. We also talked about employee evaluations. There seemed to be a little confusion about whether evaluations were performance-based, but we've never had performance-based evaluations. Our raises are not performance-based. As long as I've been involved in the city, they're just time-based. So there was a discussion about the value of evaluations if they're not going to be if you're not basing your raise on performances, why do we do employee evaluations? And I'm a believer that we should do employee evaluations even if your raises are not dependent on it, because it's important for department heads to sit down with each and every employee to go over what they're doing well, what they may want to work on, what they may want to learn. I mean, I really believe that sitting down once a year to go over an employee's performance is of value, even if your raise is not dependent on it. So there was just a general discussion about performance evaluations. And there was a discussion that when we have our pay scales, we say year 1, year 2, year 3, and this came from utility, I think, probably because the challenges of getting staff, you're oftentimes putting them on year 2 or year 3, and so we just changed the term step 1, step 2, step 3, even though they're still in intervals of 12 months. The request from utility. So we also discussed probationary period. And since we are a system where we are all at-will employees, except for, we have the police staff, a union contract. Otherwise, we're at will. Do we need probationary periods? What is the value of probationary periods? Should we ever be extending probationary periods? That sort of thing. And after this discussion, there was an agreement to modify it from a probationary period to basically an orientation period. It's a time for us to train and orientate new employees and for them to learn their job to make sure we have a good fit here. And so I do have a resolution on that, which maybe I'll read now, and then I'll go into the city part of the personnel. So I have Resolution 58, 2022, approved to amend Personnel Policy Handbook 105 probationary period. Whereas the Personnel and Utility Personnel Committees have reviewed the Personnel Policy Handbook, Section 105 probationary period is shown in Exhibit A, and whereas the Personnel and Utility Personnel Committees recommend the following changes. 105 orientation period. For the first 6 months of employment, an employee participates in an orientation period. This offers the city an opportunity to review the employee's skills, ability, and attitude. It also offers the employee the opportunity to evaluate the suitability of the placement. New employees will not be eligible to receive cost of living raises until the orientation period is completed. Now therefore be resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 14th day of February 2023. I would move for passage of Resolution 58, 2022.
Second.
Motion by Brown, or motion by Moreau, second by Brown. Further discussion, questions, or comments?
How does this vary from the probationary period?
Well, on our probationary period, it said we could extend the probationary period. Yeah, you can see it in red, right?
Yep.
It's similar, and yet there is, the length of the probationary period supposed to be 6 months. It may be extended an additional 6 months. The probationary period may be waived. We kind of just, we're not going to extend anymore probationary period. You're at will. If you're not working out, you can be terminated. And you know, in reading about probationary periods, I've also read how if you're gonna do this sort of thing, it's really on the city too. What are you doing during these probationary periods? And if you think you have to extend it, well, what is the city doing specifically? And I think all in all, it just was seen that it's really an orientation period. If at any point an employee isn't working out, they can be terminated.
So this doesn't weaken the city position that if an employee doesn't work out, doesn't weaken it at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
In our discussion, it obligates the city, our people, us, to make sure we orientate. The onus falls back on us to make sure they get the training and the knowledge of how things function and that kind of thing, rather than just saying, well, you're on probation and demanding that they learn it.
Given that it's at-will employment, really doesn't weaken the city's position at all.
Okay.
And I would note that I had a meeting with the department heads today, and we did talk about doing a better job of both, you know, the orientation of our line staff, but the orientation of our department heads. Even if a department head is line staff and moves up, there's different tasks that that department head is now responsible for that he wasn't when they were line staff. And do we do an adequate job of training them about budgets, about hiring, about interviewing, you know, when they have to hire? Or there's just a number of things. How to put together a meeting agenda. What is the timing of all that? When you're in line staff, you don't know all those inner workings. And I think that we, as a city, have to do a little better job of that also, on both levels, both line staff and department heads, and council members, commission members. I mean, we walk into our job sometimes without much training and not knowing who to call for what. And I think we have to be kind of aware of that we have to do a little more outreach in some of these areas. So, then we moved on. Any other questions before I move on to the city?
We got to vote on
Gotta
this
take a
one.
vote on that, Kate.
Oh! Okay, let's see how I vote.
Merle,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Foodie. Aye. Grattan.
Aye.
Resolution 58, 2022 is passed.
And I want to make sure this meeting lasts as long as my personnel meeting.
Come on.
That ain't gonna happen.
Okay, city personnel items. The first one is, we did extend Scott Carpenter's vacation for a month. Again, that's another thing that we telling department heads they need to get their vacation in. I know that sometimes at the end of the year, it's challenging and things get in the way, but we want them to not only help their staff get their vacation off, but they have to get their vacation off in a timely manner. But we did extend it so he could take his vacation. We also, Dave has the next several issues. We have been challenged in hiring police officers, and I think everybody here is aware of those challenges. So he brought us a number of issues, one being hiring a part-time police officer. Maybe there's somebody that's already working someplace else that's willing to do some shifts here in Juneau. So we have a resolution on that. We also talked about hiring a firearms instructor, weapons technician. Actually, this will be Russ coming back to Juneau to do the firearms training for our current police officers, since they need that type of training. And so he came with that request. And we also discussed the opening of the union contract. And I have a resolution to that issue too. Again, the challenges of hiring a police officer where their wages are competitive and the response time or residency has become an issue that creates just a much smaller pool of people that we can draw from. And so we are willing, we're going to have a resolution that we are willing to open that union contract to negotiate on those two items. So that will be coming in the, let's see, the last one was and I know that we had a debate about this, but whether the agreement that we hired someone like first part of January, we are paying him his wages and benefits while he attends the police academy, and my assessment would be that would be out of our normal benefits. I see normal benefits as something that's outlined in our policy or outlined in the union contract. So it's my assessment that we should have a resolution putting what I would say some guardrails around. This is not a precedent-setting action, which means that if another department head wants to send their staff person to school for 5 months and we're going to pay them wages and benefits, that they can do that without anybody else's authority, and I don't think that's what we want. We want some rules around this. So you'll see in the resolution that it recommends that we say this is non-precedent setting, this is due to public safety, and I know that we have these challenges of getting police departments, and I would say in the future, if we are going to do this, and we may have to, I understand, we may have to invest this kind of money to send somebody to get the skill to even start the job. I mean, we have some challenges here. That it is something that we negotiate in the union contract with the police so that we can know, do they owe us back if we pay them for 5 months and they never work after that for Juneau? I know that Dave has some things worked out about paying back the tuition, but we're also paying wages and benefits. And I think all of that should be negotiated in a union contract. So I will also have that one. So I know there's some disagreement about that, and you can still disagree, but that's the basis of it. So why don't I read the resolutions, and then when you have a question at that resolution, we can talk further. Is that all right with everybody? All right. Resolution 59, 2022. Approved to hire a part-time police officer as a temporary employee. Whereas the Public Safety and the Personnel Committee have reviewed the need to hire a part-time police officer to fill open shifts, and whereas the Public Safety and Personnel Committee recommend that this be a temporary part-time position with a starting wage of $24.32, and whereas the Public Safety and Personnel Committees recommend that all hiring requirements, background check, drug screens, evaluations, etc., would be waived if the person is a law enforcement officer in good standing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 14th day of February 2023. I would move for passage of Resolution 59, 2022.
Second. Motion by Monroe, second by Evans. Further discussion, questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Morose,
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Foodie.
Aye.
Groton.
Aye.
Resolution 59, 2022 is passed.
Okay, Resolution 60, 2022. Approve hiring a firearms instructor, weapons technician. Whereas the Public Safety and Personnel Committees have reviewed a request to hire a firearms instructor, weapons technician, and whereas the Public Safety and Personnel Committees recommend that this be a temporary employee with a starting rate of $24.32 per hour, and whereas the Public Safety and Personnel Committees recommend that all hiring recommendations, background checks, drug screens, evaluations, etc., be waived if the person is a law enforcement officer in good standing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 14th day of February. I would move for passage.
Second.
Motion by Monroe, second by Foodie. Further discussion? Dave, you want to touch upon who you've got filling this slot?
This came about obviously when Russ left to go to Beaver Dam. He was our range instructor, weapons technician, and because we need that as a requirement for our certification, our yearly certification, we have to have range so that we qualify, with our firearms. We needed somebody in place to do that, being that we invested in his training over the years. It was just a good fit that we try and keep him for that position, and he was willing to do that, and that is how we came up with Russ. Down the road, if we were to hire somebody that has those qualifications, or we at some point would have somebody that we could send to school, we would do that. But in order to become an instructor for law enforcement, you have to have a minimum of 3 years full-time experience. So it's not like one of our new people could just jump into this position. So this just makes a lot of sense to keep somebody like Russ on the books, and we're all familiar with them too, so.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call vote, please.
Morose,
Aye.
Foodie.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Groton.
Aye.
Resolution 60, 2022 is passed.
Resolution 61, 2022. Approve opening police union contract regarding Article 18, Section 1 wages, and Article 19 residency. Whereas the Public Safety and Personnel Committees have reviewed a request to open the police union contract, and whereas the Public Safety and Personnel Committees have agreed to open the police union contract regarding two specific items, Article 18, Section 1 wages, and Article 19 residency. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau the 14th day of February 2023. I'd move for passage of Resolution 61, 2022.
Second.
Motion by Morrow, second by Grattan. Further discussion?
You know, and I think just for transparency, what we discussed was we probably won't have a response time. You know, just open that up. And, you know, Dave has given us some recommendations as far as increasing the wages. So you know, that's probably where those negotiations will go. So if you have any input before we do those negotiations, I think it's the mayor and I and Megan, I don't know who's all involved in negotiations.
Basically you and I for sure.
But I just want to put that out there that,
It's optional for the clerk if she wants to sit in, so. Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Morose,
aye.
Grattan,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Foodie. Aye.
Resolution 61, 2022 is passed.
Resolution 62, 2022, approve employee benefit options for new police department hire. Whereas the Personnel Committee has reviewed the current hiring challenges and need to provide public safety to the City of Juneau. And whereas the Personnel Committee approves a non-precedent setting action to pay the wages and benefits of a new police department hire that started 1/12/2023 while attending 720 hours of training at the Police Academy. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 14th day of February 2023. I would move for passage of Resolution 62, 2022.
Second.
Motion by Monroe, second by Brown. Further discussion?
I think that should be precedent, not president.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. We can fix that.
Spell check doesn't catch that, you know.
It doesn't when you spell it with a real word.
That's the only question I have.
Roll call vote, please.
Morose,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Foodie. Aye. Grattan.
Aye.
Resolution 62, 2022 is passed. Anything else to report tonight? Okay.
I think that's enough.
I
you want me to keep
would
going?
agree, I would agree. Public safety, Jane, would you like to take this one?
Well, we did cover a lot of things. Talked about the possible action to hire part-time police officer, which we discussed with Russ Ebert, and opening up the police union contract, again with the two things that Kay brought up and we discussed. Dave did a survey of what hourly wages are for comparable community sizes. So that was a very good survey it was eye-opening to see where our department's at with their wages, that they're way behind. And the EMS reports and the fire departments and emergency government reports were distributed.
Very good, you got a couple resolutions?
Public Works, I see.
It's gotta hit them up top.
It's on top of the minutes.
No, if you hit it
Go
from
up top, the little blue box.
the agenda, just
Box,
because
thanks.
we have them underneath EMS.
Just be easier, Jane. Excuse me.
Whereas the emergency, or Resolution 63, 2022, approve appointment of EMS officers, whereas the Emergency Medical Services EMS has held a general election for EMS offices. The following officers will fill the named offices with their term beginning in February 2023. Michelle Yeager, Assistant Coordinator, is a 2-year term. Nathan Zank is a Training Officer with a 2-year term. Whereas the EMS bylaws require that the Common Council of the City of Juneau confirm the EMS selections, now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 14th day of February 2023. I move to approve Resolution 2023, or 63, 2022, sorry.
Second.
Motion by Foodie, second by Brown. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Foodie.
Aye.
Brown. Aye. Evans.
Aye.
Groton.
Aye.
Murrow.
Aye.
Resolution 64, 2022. Approve appointment of fire department officers, whereas the Juneau Fire Department has held a general election for the fire department offices, and whereas the following are the election results. Ed Weiss, Fire Chief, 4-year term. Dan Zank, Assistant Chief, a 3-year term. Kurt Ninman, Captain, 1-year term. Dave Beal, Lieutenant, 1-year term. Jennifer Coombs, Lieutenant, 2-year term. Jesse Schuster, Trustee, 3-year term. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation. Passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 14th day of February 2023. I recommend approval of Resolution 64, 2022.
Second.
Motion by Foodie, second by Gren. Any further discussion? Just a point of information, the only one that technically has to be approved by the council is the chief. The other ones are just courtesy items. So. Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Foodie.
Aye.
Groton.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Murrow.
Aye.
Resolution 64, 2022 is passed. Anything else, Jane, you can think of? That was
I think I covered it in the...
a pretty thorough meeting. Anything else? Okay. Moving on, Public Works, David.
Yeah, we did meet. We discussed the vacation carryover for Scott Carpenter. It was referred to personnel, taken care of. Review and discuss a letter being delivered to Dodgen School for the barring of the city's bleachers. The letter, I wish I should have had a copy of it. It took many workers and many hours to take the bleachers over to Dodgen School, and then they'd have to move them from one spot to another as to how the games were played. And the bleachers are taking a beating doing all this, getting trucked down the road. So we advise them that we don't want to do that anymore. It's not fair to the city of Juneau that we donate this labor and wreck our bleachers, and we have to buy new bleachers, etc. So it was a not happy letter to have to send, but it was necessary. Well, no one wants to send a negative letter. We discussed the cremation monument headstones in the city cemetery. There are more cremations happening now, and it is turning that people would like a headstone along with their vase that's buried rather than nothing. So we approved. There were some examples that were given, and it would look nice in the cemetery. That was our meeting, and I believe I have a resolution.
The examples are attached to the resolution too, if you guys want to see them.
Everybody saw these, right?
Are they,
There's two examples underneath. The little, where the name is, that block comes out and the vase goes in there. So, Resolution 65, 2022. approve cremation monument headstones to be placed in city cemetery. Whereas the Public Works Committee has reviewed a request to place a cremation monument headstone at the Juneau Cemetery, and whereas the Public Works Committee reviewed the monuments as shown in Exhibit A, and whereas the Public Works Committee approves cremation monument headstones at the Juneau City Cemetery. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 14th day of February 2023. I move for passage of Resolution 65, 2022.
Motion by Grattan, second by Foodie. Any further discussion?
Dave, does this change anything? I believe all of our rulings and that type of thing, the only time that two people can be buried on a plot is, does this meet that requirement? I don't know, and I'm just asking so we're not creating conflict with, and these aren't buried then, these are sealed, correct?
Correct, correct. These are sealed, and they're placed as the other stones were, so that the mower
Okay.
can get through.
Yep.
But you have two here is what I'm saying, and I'm wondering
Correct.
if our other says only one,
That we didn't find out.
that
think
would
we talked a
be
little bit
something
about
that I
We
would
talked a
be,
little bit about it. But that's, the term might be buried. They're not buried,
right,
you know, that might be the loophole, but we'll check.
And actually, on the spots that have burials, you can also put a cremation on top of a burial.
right,
I
the
just didn't
verbiage
know
is
if you
what
knew
I'm,
that. Okay.
yeah, I'm just asking about the verbiage of what we have for burial plots, how it is supposed to function or not that it can't be changed.
Scott reached out to me. I said to him, I says, call Archie Monuments, find out how common these things are and what have you. It's getting to be, yeah, I would say probably 50% of them now are starting to go with cremation and what have you. But our biggest concern at Public Works was making sure, like you said, Cheryl, that we don't have staggered lines of stones, so it makes it so difficult to maintain the cemetery, that they can stay all in line, whether there's two on a site or what have you, at least the stone would still be in line with the other one, so.
Which is important. I think we have a special cremation section too.
Yep,
Maybe not the-
yeah, with smaller sites,
Yeah.
like half sites or something like that.
Yeah.
But so many people make that decision after they've already had a
The regular
full
spot.
plot, you know, whatever, well, they just wasted the space, you know, but teach their own, I guess, so. But
I'm not against it, I just want to
no,
make sure.
I think it's a good idea. I
Right.
think it's a good idea. And I think the guy from Archie was quite helpful to guide Scott along. That's where he came up with these examples and what have you, so. No other questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Groton,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Foodie,
Aye.
Murrows.
Aye.
Resolution 65, 2020.
Kelly, that was Cootie that seconded it.
Oh, it was?
Just in case you.
I put it in the wrong spot.
It's all the same with the
As long as we have Schuster help.
Yeah.
I don't have Schuster down.
That's-
Anything else from Public Works, Dave?
No.
Okay. Moving on, cable TV.
We did meet, and we discussed possibly approving amendments to our cable franchise fee ordinance. It's just something we're looking at right now. And to possibly have excess franchise fees not spent during the year placed back into the cable contingency fund. And we ended up discussing quite a bit of things about the cable TV channel, like alternate background music and archiving of meetings, and Kay brought in cable TV ordinance history information so that we can review more at our next meeting. And then we reviewed ideas for recording, the new workout platform at City Park, and the talk, read, play structure that Kay mentioned in the library report, and the construction update on Oak Street with Jason Lau possibly. And we will be meeting on February 20th, 2023 at 5:45. So if anybody has recording ideas or anything other with the cable TV channel, you can just feel free to let me know.
Thank you, Kay. Any questions? Moving on. CDA, we did not have a meeting. Rec committee.
We met. So, we found out at the meeting that we have soccer fields on land that the city doesn't own.
Oh, we knew that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Every meeting I find out something new. So,
You haven't been living in
So,
town long enough, Kay.
we have to reconfigure the soccer fields because before you know it, we got spring soccer starting like in March, into March. So DPW is helping us reconfigure what the property we have at Wild Goose Park into soccer fields, so they are all on the property that is owned by the city. That may cause the largest soccer field, that we may not have that anymore. But we don't, the rec doesn't have high school soccer. So it's not for the rec to create this large field that high school soccer players play on. We're more into the little kids, so, and you might see, you know, on the largest one, they might turn the small one into there. We're reconfiguring that space to get adequate soccer fields. And thanks to DPW for their help in doing that. Let's see, we also, the mayor did sign our memorandum of understanding. That will go to Dodgeland to see if we can, we have till March 1st to sign that. If they have questions, I wrote a cover letter and I did include the fact that we all understand that the bleachers are not part of this mutual use kind of thing, that the bleachers are no longer going to be delivered to Dodgeland. So we will wait to see if they agree with the terms on the memorandum of understanding. Then we got an estimate of the cost of light to be installed at the fitness platform. The estimate is, you know, $3,500. Something wrong with this figure. It's about $3,500. And I probably made that typo. So that will go to the finance committee. And probably next month. We also discussed the fact that our rec department has no requirement for background checks for our coaches. So, for all of our coaches that have regular contact with children, we have never done background checks. So we passed a policy that we will now be doing background checks. It is prudent, and our city attorney would agree.
As we talked about it, you should be
Yes.
doing it.
We
Should have done it earlier.
We should have done it before, so we will be starting to do that. Starting with spring soccer, once we got those fields reconfigured, then we will make sure all the coaches get their background check. So it was important, as an important thing, it's just one of those things that just never came up or whatever, but we got that under control. Then we talked about the rental fee waiver, because we understand that in years past, certain organizations, city kind of organizations, might get a waiver to some of the park fees. So we did create a policy that if you are a community organization and you're going to put on an event, that you would get a waiver on the fees if a nonprofit community organization where the profits are going to go back into the nonprofit, basically. So we also passed that policy. And we talked about Ashton leaving and how we are going to try to keep things going. We had to get a volunteer to do some basketball skills clinic this month. And like I said, We have our part-time person responding to calls. I've sent out some emails about spring soccer because people have already paid for that. Soccer is a program. You pay in the fall, you play in the fall, and you play in the spring. So we need to try to do what we can to get the coaches and the teams set for March when they start. And I've had a couple soccer coaches that don't want to come back, so if anyone wants to be a soccer coach, please let me know. The position of rec director has been advertised in a statewide rec website that Ashton says that's where everybody goes. It's been advertised on our website, on the city recreation website, on Daily Dodge. So if anyone is interested in being a rec director, please feel free to come on in and fill out an application. So, yeah, it's going to be a challenge to keep running a department head. But that's our current status. Any questions about the rec department?
No questions, move on. Utility Commissioner report, Richard.
Yeah, we had a meeting last Monday, and the folks from MSA joined us again to keep us up to date on the wastewater treatment plant upgrade. We put it out for bid, the project out for bid, and we received 2 bids, and they were both over the projected cost. The bids are both real similar at around $13.5 million. And the commission has until March 18th to accept one of the bids. Good news, I guess, we finally heard back from Sensient. Bad news, they redlined some of the things in the contract, so we're still negotiating. We had Andrew look it over, and he gave us some advice, and we returned the contract to them accepting that advice. And I don't know if we've heard anything back from them.
I'm not aware
At this point.
Not yet.
Yeah. So if an agreement is reached, Sensient will pay 34.4% of the cost of the project. And in addition, there will be some principal forgiveness from the Clean Water Fund. But in order to secure the financing, sewer rates will have to be raised for the city's customers. And it's looking like the average bill will increase around $23 per month, depending on usage. And rate increases will be determined at next month's meeting. Again, depending on Sensient. We're always waiting on them. So I don't know if you guys have any other comments.
No, I think the revised agreement is still a good agreement for the city, but hopefully they move a lot faster than they did before.
Yeah. I think we reinserted the 2 paragraphs that they had deleted, that
Right.
you suggested to put back. So
Right.
we'll see what happens there. Otherwise, it's business as usual at the utilities. Alex Moody has accepted the water superintendent job. You might have noticed some northern pipe trucks that open manholes around town. They're cleaning and televising the sewer lines and also checking some suspect laterals. The commission approved the purchase of some confined space safety equipment. And the commission approved the electrical apprentice agreement that we talked about last month that we have to approve now this month after the utility commission did it. So I will move on to that resolution. Is resolution 57-2022, approve electric line worker tuition reimbursement agreement. Whereas the Juneau Utilities Commission has reviewed and approved paying for future apprentices electric line technician program, and whereas the Juneau Utilities Commission recommends the use of a formal tuition reimbursement agreement between said apprentice and the Juneau Utilities Commission. And whereas the Juneau Utility Commission recommends using the electric line worker tuition reimbursement agreement shown in Exhibit A, now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 14th day of February 2023. I would motion for passage of Resolution 57-2022.
Second.
Motion by Evans, second by Foodie. Further discussion? This pretty much lays out reimbursement for if the electric line worker elects to leave prematurely. We've got an agreement with them to recover some of those costs. Long and short, pretty much it. So. Then something that been researched by Nick Gallman with the other utilities within the MEUW circuit and the WPPI circuit. We'll have municipal and electric utilities getting harder and harder to get people, and actually they have a very attractive wage starting and ending, so I guess we've already put somebody online or that we've offered a job to, and I guess he has accepted. I don't know if he started yet or not. He has started, according to Kaylee.
He started yesterday.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Evans,
Aye.
Foodie,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Groton,
Aye.
Morose.
Aye.
Resolution 57-2022 is passed.
As the past apprentice, not for this, but I like this contract.
Okay, moving on. Any old business tonight? Any new business? Approved licenses. Jane, would you like to read the regular bartender's license?
Clayton Mallon, Jennifer Zine, Corey Schrader, for expires June 30th, 2023. I recommend approval of the regular bartender's licenses.
Motion by Foodie,
Second.
second by Morose. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Brown.
Second.
Second by Evans. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. This meeting is closed.